Are you looking to get ready, be prepared, and transform your financial future? Then you've come to the right place. This is the Get Ready Money podcast with Tony Stewart, where Tony has insightful conversations with financial experts who are changing the way we think about money. Catch up on the latest financial trends and hear practical advice from Tony and his expert guests so you can build healthy habits that work. Be empowered with tips for implementing small changes that can have a big impact on your financial future. So sit back and get ready to hear from today's guest.
Welcome to the Get Ready Money podcast, changing the way we think about money. I'm your host, Tony Stewart. Today, I'm joined by Miguel Ferreira, the creator of the Finance for All program. We're diving into how financial literacy can strengthen our communities and improve our quality of life. Miguel, welcome to the podcast. Great to have you here today.
Hello, Tony. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, so, let's dive in. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What is your origin story and how did it lead to your involvement with financial literacy?
Yes. So I've been a professor of finance for more than 20 years. And 4 or 5 years ago, we were worried about the levels of financial literacy in Portugal and in general in Europe. So only about half of the European population is considered financially literate. And in Portugal, the ratio is even lower. Only about 40% of the people have basic financial knowledge. And we thought as a school that it's part of our mission to try to address this challenge in Portugal, in more generally in Europe. So we decided to start off a program, the financial education program, to the community. And we are fortunate at that time, 3 years ago, to have as a sponsor one of the largest insurance companies here in Portugal. And this made it possible to offer the program to the community, anyone above 18 years old, and it's entirely for free that we are offering this program. And the program has been quite successful. I think we've been fortunate to have a lot of people interested on it with the help of the media, the press, and also social media. We've been able to attract a lot of applications, and we've been giving training to about 3,000 people each year. We are going to start off this fall the third edition, and we have again 3,000 people registered for the program.
Fantastic. So is the program then through the college?
So the program is offered here at the school. So we offer it both in two alternatives. One, it's in person, and in person people come here to the campus of Nova School of Business and Economics, but people could also enroll to do the program online. So we have about 1/3 of the individuals do the program in person, and about 2/3 do it online. The online is important because it allows us to reach a broader audience and reach people that are outside Lisbon. The program basically consists of 5 weekly sessions of 2 hours each. So it's a total. So the total training duration is 10 hours, and we cover topics in personal finance. So we start off with planning, budgeting, and savings. Then we have a class on investments and investment strategies, risk diversification. Then we have a class on credit decisions, a class on insurance and financial products and the banking industry. And finally, we have a wrap-up session where we discuss topics on over-indebtedness and how to manage situations where you are in financial distress. And we make an overview of the program because we believe this consolidation at the final session is important for people to take home and apply in their lives the concepts and the rules that we teach here during the program.
Fantastic. It sounds like a nice comprehensive program. And I'm glad to see insurance included as part of the program. I come from the insurance industry myself, and quite often insurance isn't part of a lot of financial literacy programs, but yet all of us have an insurance policy of some type. So it's nice to see it as part of it. Um,
Yep.
so one of the questions I had is, the university took this on. Do you think other universities and educational institutions should be really including financial literacy as part of their curriculum?
Yes. So our program is targeting adults, so anyone above 18 years old. And the reason we focus on adults is that there's already programs for younger people. And we saw that there's a really a large gap in terms of initiatives or programs that are directed at adults. And if we want to solve this challenge, of course, we need to train the young people. And I believe, and it has been shown in many studies, that it's important to give training on financial literacy from early age and throughout the school curriculum. But it's also important to have a more immediate effect. It's also important to try to train adults because you have a huge gap in terms of financial knowledge. So I believe that it's very important, of course, to train the younger people from early age through college in terms of financial literacy. Um, of course, the content and the pedagogical methods need to be adapted depending on the age of the younger people. But I think it's really important that the training in personal finance is mandatory and it's part of the school's curriculum.
Yeah, I completely agree. There are some amazing programs for kids and not so many for adults.
Yeah.
Um, and yet adults are struggling because they did not learn it. As when I went to high school, we did have what's called home economics in the United States. So I did learn a few basics like,
Mhm.
how does a bank account work and a few things, but we didn't talk about, again, like insurance or debt. And I was a finance major in college with an emphasis in investments. And again, I knew all about investing in those vehicles, but nothing about credit, nothing about
Yeah.
insurance, nothing about
Mhm.
banking. So, it's great to have that kind of all around program. One of the things you talk about is conscious decision making. So, why is conscious decision making such a crucial part of personal finance?
No, it's very important that people have the knowledge because only with the knowledge on personal finance they can build the confidence to make informed and effective decisions. Uh, so without this knowledge, people are not going to feel the confidence to make these important decisions about their personal finance. So I think it's important that the programs, of course, teach the concepts. We try to teach in a way that people have sufficient flexibility to apply the concepts in their real life, but we try to complement that with real life examples and some rules of thumb that people can apply once they get out of the classroom. But I think only in this way you will be able to give people the confidence and the trust in the financial system such that they can make effective financial decisions that improve their financial well-being.
Fantastic. Yeah, and that's something I feel very strongly about, that it's helping people feel confident and empowered to make their own decisions. And
Yes.
that's where we're really going to see the difference because, I mean, as a professor, is people don't remember everything that you teach. And by the time you get 6 months out, they've forgotten most of what you've taught. But
Yeah.
if you've taught them decision-making skills and habits and things like that, that carries over and they
Yes.
remember principles. So, I love that approach.
Yes.
Uh,
So, well, our program is basically a combination of principles and concepts, which it's important, but we also combine it with rules of thumb. Although we are careful enough to tell people that the rules of thumb do not work exactly the same way to everyone. So that's why it's important to combine the rules of thumb with principles such that they have the framework and the flexibility to make the best decision in each case.
yeah, I think it's important and still flexibility as well, or to let
Yeah,
people know that it's not always going to be black and white, they have to be able to react to their situation because no two people are unique in terms of their goals, in terms of their situation, or how things happen. We all think that, we're going to have this journey where we earn a little bit more each year, we save, and all those things, and it's just not a straight
yes,
line.
yes. And something that I think we put a lot of emphasis in our program is to explain people that there's a life cycle. And what's the optimal decision where when you are 25 years old? It's not the same optimal decision when you are 50 years old. So it's important that people have conscious that there's a life cycle, and optimal financial decisions change with age, change with what's the point you are in the life cycle. So, for example, if you are young, you should invest more in stocks, if not everything, if not all your savings. But if you are above 50 years old, then you should decrease your equity allocation and invest more in fixed income. And this applies to other types of financial decisions people have to make. So the best decision, it's not always the same throughout your entire life.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, I think again to insurance, because that's my core area of
Hmm.
expertise, is that your insurance needs change as you age, the types of products, how much you may need, and all those things. So to switch gears a little bit, in what ways does financial literacy improve the quality of life for individuals and communities?
Yeah. No, financial literacy, and we know this for a lot of research, is is critical, and financial knowledge is critical to make optimal financial decisions, because only in this way you can improve your financial well-being. So it's important that, for example, you plan, that you have a budget, a plan, that you realize what are your sources of income and expenses, uh, such that you are able to save. And it's important to save from early age. And it's also important to make the best possible credit decisions, investment decisions, um, because only in that way, if you make good decisions in terms of savings, investments, and credit and insurance, you'll be able to avoid financial stress and improve your financial well-being. And we know from research that financial stress can have huge implications. So, for example, financial distress uh, can make people less productive at their job. And there's research showing that there's significant costs, um, reduction in number of hours dedicated to work. So people get distracted at work if they are in financial stress, or you make more mistakes if you are in financial stress. So it's really important for the overall well-being of individuals that you avoid financial stress, and that you are in a good situation in terms of financial well-being.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think where you're going is that it's part of our overall lives. And I think that's the conversation that's changing in the financial literacy world, is that it's about more than just the money. Is does Finance for All address more mindset and you know bigger vision issues? I'm trying to think of the best way to
Mhm.
put this, but to go beyond just the dollars, but how we think about money.
Yeah. No, we try to change people's attitude towards money. And in Portugal and in Europe in general, people are shy of talking about money, more so than in the United States. And and it's something that we try to work on in our program, is that people are not as shy of talking about financial issues with their close relatives, with friends, because when they have a problem, it's important that they reach for help if needed, and don't be shy to ask for help if you are in a situation of financial financial stress. And that's something that we also put a lot of focus in our program, is that in cases you are in distress, you are in financial stress, it's important that you seek for appropriate help. And there's not only from close relatives or friends, but also from entities that are experts in dealing with these type of situations, and they can be very helpful in terms of trying to help you, support you to overcome situations of financial stress. And also, it's something I think it's also very important to talk, is that in many cases people are afraid to talk to their bank when they have financial issues, and it's important to for everyone to understand banks can help you, and the earliest you raise an issue, the more likely is that they can help you in a productive way. So you should realize that there's a network of entities, including banks, insurance companies, and some NGOs that can help you in when you have a difficult financial situation.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I want to really stress what you were saying earlier about communication. Is one, it's important to communicate
Hmm.
within your family, but to understand that there are these resources. But if you don't talk to anyone about them, especially if you wait a long time, like if you're having problems with your mortgage payment, is it can really get bad. So the earlier you address this. So do you have any tips for people on how they can, communicate like with their spouse or with their other people in their community, let's say their friends or their network?
I'm not a communication expert, but no, I think you should share the difficulties, and that's why it's also important to have a budget and a financial plan, because the having a monthly financial plan can help you to detect early warnings of a situation where you don't have sufficient income to cover your expenses and pay down, for example, your mortgage. And and if you share this plan with your spouse, you can share the problem. You can try to face the problem jointly, and it's much more likely that you'll be able to overcome such a situation if you share the information, if you have the information to start with, by having a financial plan, but share this financial plan or even do the financial plan jointly with your spouse, I think can be a very effective way to communicate and to act as early as possible when you realize that you're going to face a difficult financial situation.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And, I want to highlight what you said about having a plan, because if you don't have a plan, you can't see if you're,
Yes, you have a problem or not.
off the plan.
Yeah,
It's like if you're traveling, is you have a destination, you have a route, which roads you're going to take, or,
yes,
whatever flights or how you're going to get there. And you can tell if like okay, if I'm traveling from the US to Portugal, but all of a sudden I'm in Russia, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So,
No, a
but if
plan
you don't have
can,
that plan,
yeah. Yeah, the plan will help you to detect the problem in advance. While if you don't have a plan, only at the end of the month you're going to realize you have a problem. And it's much more likely that you are able to overcome these type of situations if you have a plan and detect any issue early on.
definitely, definitely. No, I love that advice. So, let's to start to wrap up is I'm going to ask you what's called the Get Ready Hot Take Trio. These
Hmm.
are three questions that I ask all of my guests. They're more rapid
Okay.
fire in nature. The first one is, what money myth are you trying to break?
Um, the myth that money you that that you are shy about your money and about your investments and that you are afraid to expose yourself and your financial situation. Because I think it's very important that that there is communication and you share with your family and discuss within your family financial issues and money issues.
Yeah, I completely agree. I recommend to people that they have regular family financial meetings where they discuss this. And,
Yeah.
it helps for the communication, for the understanding, because at least in the US, money is one of the leading causes of divorce and marital
Hmm.
stress. So it's
Yeah.
it's really important to talk about money. So let's get out the time machine. What advice would you give your younger self if you could go back in time, knowing what you know now about money?
So the first thing that comes to my mind is that I should have invested more of my savings in stocks, because I think it has been known for some time now that if you want to invest in the long term and if you want to plan your retirement, you should take some risk. Otherwise, you're going to leave money on the table. So you should invest a large fraction of your savings in stocks. I'm doing so, but I should have started doing earlier in my life.
Yeah, it's never too early to start.
Yeah.
And that's a message that I hear from almost all of the guests on the show. So for people watching and listening, if you're at an older age, think about helping your kids start to invest.
Yes.
Is it's never too early. Um,
I haven't done it early on, but I'm doing it with my kids. So my kids are now in the 20s, and I'm really trying to help them to make the best investment decisions, participate more in stock markets, and invest more of their savings in stocks, because I think it's something that will help a lot in the future in terms of growing their savings.
Definitely. I did that with my son as well when he was younger, and I'm sure he was really loved hearing about Benjamin Graham and Warren Buffett and
Yeah.
value investing.
Mhm.
But I thought it was important, for him to have those principles. So the last question is, what is your number one tip for changing the way we think about money?
I think my number one tip is information. So it's get to be better informed about money, about financial decisions. Basically, you need to increase your level of financial knowledge to be able to improve your financial well-being. Everything should start with information and knowledge. Otherwise, you are not going to be sufficiently confident enough to make the best financial decisions.
Yeah, I completely agree. If you think about like playing a game, if you're playing chess, the first thing you need to do is to know the rules
The rules of
of
the
how to
game.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise you can't play chess successfully. So that's fantastic advice. So Miguel, where can people learn more about you and the Finance for All initiative?
So we have a website, so financeforall.pt. for Portugal, where you can find a lot of information and material on financial literacy. We are also on LinkedIn and Instagram. So visit our website or also our social media to know more about the program. So actually something I didn't mention, but I think it's also worth to mention is, so we are doing this training program, but we also doing an impact evaluation of the program. So we want to evaluate if people really are acquiring knowledge, they're improving their level of financial literacy, and also evaluating if they are improving their financial behaviors and financial attitudes. And that's why we are conducting this impact evaluation of our program, because we want to show to people that this works, and such that other schools, the government can scale up, can help us to scale up the program, because only that way you can reach more people and solve the lack of financial literacy.
Definitely. And I think governments do have a role to play in this. And I know across the world, as different governments are starting to take different roles, or at least considering what they can do to be part of the solution. So that's wonderful. And for everybody watching and listening, as always, there will be links to Miguel's social media profiles, as well as to all the links that Miguel mentioned for the Finance for All initiative. So you can check those out in the show notes. Miguel, thanks again for joining us today on the Get Ready Money podcast.
Thanks a lot, Tony. It was a pleasure to share what's Finance for All with you and your audience. Thank you very much.
Yeah, fantastic. And thank you, everyone, as always, for tuning into this episode of the Get Ready Money podcast. If you learned something today to change the way you think about money or your financial journey, please be sure to subscribe and to share it with a friend. You can also join the Get Ready movement at tonystewart.com to get access to a whole bunch of free resources that I have to help you take control of your financial life. Until next time, let's change the way we think about money.